The market smelled of smoke and desperation. Beneath a tattered canopy, people were bought and sold like livestock. Marcus Hale, a former soldier turned trader, had seen this 100 times, but today felt different. The girl standing on the auction block wasn't like the others. Her wrists were bound, her face streaked with dirt, yet her eyes, silver gray and calm, met his without flinching. She stood tall, shoulders squared, defiant even in chains. The auctioneer's voice droned on about her being spirited but obedient if trained. But Marcus heard none of it. He saw something else, fire. 500, he called. The crowd stirred. That was twice what anyone else had offered. Sold! The auctioneer barked, slamming the gavel. Moments later, Marcus stood before her as the chains were removed. She didn't thank him, didn't even bow. Instead, she said, voice steady and cold, "You didn't buy me. You bought a chance to make things right." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "My name is Elara," she said. "And I can't leave this city until someone destroys Lord Coron's fortress. That's where my sister still is." Marcus almost laughed. "Destroy Coron's fortress? That's impossible. He commands a private army." "Then it's good you used to be a soldier," she said, turning away. "Because I won't run. Not while she's still in chains." Scene 1, the Campfire Pact. That night, Marcus sat by the fire, staring at Elara. She ate quietly, movements measured, graceful even in exhaustion. "You could have walked away," he said finally. "You're free now." Elara looked up. "Freedom means nothing if it's just me. My sister was taken because she tried to protect me. I'll die before I leave her behind." Her words struck something deep inside him. Memories of comrades he'd abandoned on the battlefield, of choices that still haunted his sleep. He exhaled slowly. "You're asking me to die for a stranger." "No," she said, meeting his gaze. "I'm asking you to live for something again." Silence hung between them, heavy and alive. Then Marcus nodded once. "At dawn we plan." Scene 2. The impossible plan. Over the next few days, they traveled toward Coron's fortress, a towering citadel carved into the cliffs overlooking the river Vale. Elara knew its layout from memory. She'd once served there as a healer before she and her sister were taken as tribute. At a hidden camp near the forest edge, she spread a crude map across the ground. "There's a tunnel beneath the east wall," she explained. "It connects to the old aqueduct. We can slip in during the changing of the guard at midnight." Marcus studied her, impressed. "You memorized all this." She shrugged. "When you're caged, you count stones until you know every one of them." He felt a surge of admiration. She wasn't just brave, she was brilliant. Still, the odds were terrible. 2 people against 50 guards. But something in her voice, that quiet certainty, made him believe it could be done. Scene 3, the storm and the fire. The night of the raid came cloaked in thunder. Rain lashed the cliffs, muffling their steps as they slipped through the aqueduct. The water was icy, the tunnel narrow. Elara led the way, torchlight flickering across the slick stone. They emerged inside the fortress, beneath the dungeon. Marcus dispatched the first guard silently. Elara took his keys, her hand steady despite the tremor in her breath. They reached the cell where her sister was held. A frail girl, barely 16, lay shivering on the straw. "Lisa," Elara whispered, kneeling beside her. Her sister stirred, tears welling when she saw her. "You came." But footsteps thundered down the corridor. "Go," Marcus hissed. Elara refused to move. "Not without you." He turned to face the guards. Swords clashed, sparks flew. Marcus fought like a man possessed, because for the first time in years, he had something to fight for. When the last guard fell, he was bleeding from the shoulder, but alive. Elara tore a strip from her dress, binding the wound. "We're not done yet," she said. "The main gate's sealed." Marcus gritted his teeth. "Then we blow it open." Using oil from the storeroom and a fuse made from rope, they set the charge. As they ran for the river path, the explosion split the night. Flames erupted and the fortress shook. By dawn, the citadel was nothing but black smoke on the horizon. Scene 4. The price of freedom. They made camp by the riverbank. Lisa slept soundly, head on Elara's lap. Marcus sat nearby, watching the sunrise paint her face gold. "You did it," he said softly. "You're free now for real." Elara smiled faintly. "No, we did it. And freedom doesn't feel like I thought it would." He frowned. "How so?" "It feels empty," she said. "Because the man who gave it to me thinks he doesn't deserve happiness." Marcus blinked. "What are you talking about?" "You carry guilt," she said. "From a war that wasn't yours to win. But you just saved 2 lives. Maybe it's time to forgive yourself." He wanted to argue, but her words sank deep. For years he'd been wandering half alive. Now for the first time he felt seen. Scene 5. The confession. Weeks passed. They found a small village far from the war's reach. Lisa recovered, and Elara began working as a healer again. Marcus helped rebuild the old mill. But every night, he found his eyes drifting toward the cottage window where Elara's candle burned late into the dark. One evening he finally knocked. She opened the door, surprised. "I'm leaving tomorrow," he said. "There's work up north." Her smile faltered. "I see. But before I go," he paused, struggling for words. "You asked me once to live for something again." "I did. I lived for you." Elara's breath caught. "Marcus." He stepped closer. "You made me believe in impossible things again. So if I go, I need to know if you'll wait." She looked up at him, tears glinting. "You fool," she whispered. "I won't wait. I'll go with you." And then she kissed him, softly at first, then fiercely, like all the fire and fear of the past had turned into love. Scene 6. The wedding under the sky. Months later, under the vast blue sky of the northern hills, Marcus and Elara stood before a small gathering. No fine robes, no gold rings, just 2 people who had found light in the ruins. Lisa placed a garland of wildflowers in Elara's hair. When Marcus took her hands, his voice shook. "I bought your freedom once," he said. "But you gave me mine." Elara smiled through tears. "And now we're equals in everything." The wind carried their vows across the valley. The same wind that once carried smoke and sorrow. Now it carried peace. And as they kissed beneath the open sky, Marcus knew. Sometimes the impossible isn't something you fight to survive. It's something you live long enough to love.